Welcome to the very first BA Musical Theatre virtual open day that we have ever had. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited that all of you are here. It's been a long time since I've spoken to a room of this many people, and so that in itself is a lovely thing. So my colleague Rian is here with me. My other colleague Louise is here with me. My name's Vivian Kerr and I'm the Head of Musical Theatre at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. And I'm over the moon to be with you all today to tell you about our new programme. It's something that we've been anticipating and wishing for a long time. And so I'm very pleased to be here to tell you all about it.
Sorry, my telephone took myself on mute. We're now going to hand over to our students. The current students that we have within the room are master students. So they'll be talking about their experience from a master's student point of view, but it will be very similar for the undergraduate, for the BA in musical theatre. Chris, shall I hand straight over to you?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, hiya. My name's Chris. So I've been asked to talk to you all about what a typical week is at Royal Welsh. I know you guys are looking to audition for the BA. Like Rian said, it's going to be exactly the same what I'm going to talk about, but you guys will be doing extra stuff, which is exciting. So I thought I'd just start by saying it's really intense, but it's really, really fun, and you learn loads in a very short space of time. The hours that we do in the school are about 30 to 35 hours a week, but we do tend to do more when it gets towards a show. It gets really intense, and you can book out practice rooms if you need to, which we all do, and we stay in there for hours. So you can get up, you can rack the hours up if you book out practice rooms. But what I'm gonna do is just talk to you about the week that we spend at Royal Welsh. So firstly, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover the afternoons, because that's when we do like the big lessons. So on a Monday afternoon, we do a class called BAP, which stands for Building a Portfolio, and it's about 3 hours long. It's on a Monday afternoon. And we all come in, and it's our chance for us to kind of get up and sing in front of each other and just practice material that we think might be good for an audition. We have a pianist there called David. He's amazing, and we get feedback. Yeah, and we can treat it a bit like, you can either treat it like it's an audition, or you can treat it as a way to just practice some material that you want to get some feedback out from the students and from the teachers. And then on a Friday afternoon, I'm going to jump to Friday because the bit in the middle is a big thing. But on a Friday afternoon, we do something called Building a Showcase, which I can imagine you guys will do in third year, so I'll touch on it now. But it's basically, we're looking at monologues for our showcase. So this is from week one as well. So from week one, the teacher was like, okay, next week I want 3 monologues from each of you. So we were like, oh, okay, and we all like ran away, got like 3 or 4 monologues and came in. And then we just get up and we do 3 or 4 monologues in front of each other, and then they say yes, no, this is work for you. And so from the very first week, we're kind of looking at what we can put in a showcase towards agents and kind of market ourselves with. I can imagine you guys will probably just do that in third year or later on, but it's a really good thing to do and to keep looking. And then on the Tuesday and the Wednesday and the Thursday, we do what we call like a big project. So we're looking at text, we're doing an improvisation one. We're going to do acting through song next term. Once we've done acting through song, we then go into rehearsals for our musical, which we don't know what it is yet, but we're excited to find out. Yeah, so it's and you spend like 4 hours a day on that one in the afternoon, so for three days, so you do about 12 hours on that on text. It's really intense, but it's really good fun. And then so that's your afternoons, and then in the mornings we do what we do dance, we do movement, and we do what we call skills classes, and all of these classes kind of underpin and you can use all the techniques that you learn in these classes in the afternoon classes. So we have voice class, which is spoken voice by some amazing teachers. We do that twice a week, and that's just kind of making sure that your body and your voice is working fully to its full potential. We do a movement class, which is, it's not quite dance, but it's movement for actors and kind of really getting into your body, connecting to your breath. It's quite good for Monday morning, I think. It's about exploring like little subtle changes in the way your body moves and how that affects the way you speak or the way you feel. We have singing, obviously that's the big one everyone's probably wondering about. So I'll talk about singing in a second, but we do a still class, which is singing technique. That's on a Monday, and that just kind of talks. That's Tim. He's amazing, Tim, and he will talk to us all about. He's amazing, and he'll talk to you, teach you all about the larynx and what that's doing, so you can make choices about your singing. And what's good about the singing and the voice is that they really link. Although you get a lot of spoken voice and you get a lot of singing. I'll read that in a minute. Sorry, there's a thing that says hello, Chris, and there's a question. I'll read it in a minute. All over the place. And so what's good about the singing and the voice department is, even though you get quite a few spoken voice lessons and you get quite a few singing lessons, the teachers work together. So whatever you get taught in both, they all merge really well, and it's really good. So you can apply them to both. And the voice classes that all the stuff that you learn in that, you can actually apply to your afternoon stuff as well. So like your text and your improvisation. We have a musicianship class as well, which is really fun. It's really good, and it's all about just reading music. Don't worry if you can't read music. Some people here have music degrees, other people have degrees in philosophy or biochemistry, and can't read music. So it's all different abilities. But the idea of that class is to kind of make sure that you can read music to a certain level, so that when you go into an audition, you can kind of see what they're looking for, and just look at it from a singer's point of view. We have dialect class. That's really fun. It's yeah, it is what it is. It's we've been learning standard American at the moment, and we've been doing RP. So all the kind of standard accents that you would see in musical theatre, you'll be learning if you come here. And then we have dance class as well. It's kind of varying degrees of abilities on dance. So you don't need dance experience before coming here, but just be willing to move. We do tap, ballet, jazz, and street. So again, it all applies to musical theatre. So everything that you would see in a musical, in most musicals at the moment in the West End, all those kind of things are covered. And then we also have one-to-one singing lessons as well, which tend to go on the evening with Tim. You get one of them a week, and then you also get a rep session as well, which it's a bit like a singing lesson, but the rep session kind of, you will look at songs that you can sing or that might potentially suit you. And with your rep teacher, what you will do is you will look at kind of the journey or the phrasing, and you will also look at a potential cut, and you'll take that to Tim, your singing teacher, and he'll teach you how to sing it. And then you put them both together, and then you take him in on Monday and you sing it in building a portfolio for everybody. And that's the week. You get lunch. Lunch is normally about an hour and a half, depending on the day. And there's a canteen on site. There's loads of free tickets going for shows. We always get emails about shows. There's 3 theatres here. There's the Dora Hall. You've got my mind's gone blank, the Butte Theatre, and you've got the Richard Burton. And then outside, you've got the Sherman Theatre as well, which we're always getting emails about tickets for. There's a student union as well, which you can hang out in afterwards if you want to get a drink or 3, and get them really cheap, which is nice. And I think that's it. If I've missed anything, Viv or Rian, you can just let me know. But I think that's a typical week. It's quite intense. It's really intense, but really fun. And you're going to love it. And I'm going to stop chatting now because I ramble. So yeah, good luck with your auditions. No problem.
Chris,
Great.
that's great, and it's always good to hear it from a student's point of view. I mean, for everybody else in the room, I think it is true to say that it is a pretty packed schedule on the MA, but the BA will be the same. We're looking at 30 to 35 hours of contact a week. Obviously, production weeks are likely to be heavier. We will have some individual sessions in the evenings as well. We try not to work weekends, but if we do work weekends, we'll hope to give you plenty of notice. You can arrange your lives. So it's a 5 days a week, full-time course, start at 9 or 8:30 potentially, and finish at 6, and then sometimes later. Yes, it is packed. We do have the subsidised canteen, which opens to 3 meals a day, so it opens at 7:30 in the morning, and breakfast goes till 11:30, and then lunch starts at 11:45. It's something like that, and then they do an evening meal as well. And Chris is right, there is a subsidised bar should you ever have any free time to go and visit it. And that opens at 5 o'clock, and that's in the SU, which is also inside our beautiful building. So it's a very busy, but a very accommodating course, I hope. So thanks, Chris. I think between us, we've probably covered the typical week. Of course, the BA will look slightly different because the modules are slightly different. So I can talk to you in a bit more detail about that, but broadly, we will have skills classes in the morning and then longer term projects in the afternoon. So if we think the term can be split into 2 blocks, then we would have 2 afternoon projects a term. So throughout the year, that works out to 6 projects a year. And some of those are modules in acting, some of them are modules in integrated performance, some of them will be something called creative process, which I'll talk to you about in a bit more detail in a bit. There will be TV and film modules. There's a Shakespeare module. So it's a pulled out version of the MA. I saw a question earlier on in the chat about somebody saying, is the course suitable for somebody who wants to work in all strands of the industry? We will be covering TV and film, obviously not in as much depth as you would do, excuse me, on the BA acting course, but it would be everything that we hope that you would need for career in musical theatre, and then to give your potential employers confidence that you could handle yourself with screen acting in addition to that. I think that's about it in terms of a typical week, but you can expect to be busy. We don't do, sometimes, I don't know if we have anybody from the US here at all, but we don't do any classes in general ed. Everything is conservatoire training, so it's practical professional training for the whole 3 years. So should we hand over to another student now?
Yes, Dominique, do you like to hand over next?
Hello, I'm Dominique, and I've just seen a question which is very useful. It says, hi, do you get to do any workshops with any professional actors? And that's basically what I'm going to talk to you about, is our visiting professionals and our visiting artists. And I'm going to start with this term. So this term, Chris has been talking about the wonderful projects that we get to do in the afternoons. And we did our text project, but we also did an improvisation project most recently. And that lasted for 5 weeks and was with the wonderful Francois Pandolfo. And he is an actor and director, and he has an improvisation theatre company called Difficult Stage. And he's also been in Doctor Who and EastEnders. And we all had a little look at that once we met him. And I think I can speak for everyone in saying that he made us feel so comfortable with improvisation. A lot of people come to improv really, really scared, and that's fair enough. And yeah, he makes you face your fears in the best way. He teaches you in a way you probably have not been taught before, so be excited for that. And he is really interdisciplinary, as well as everyone that you work with here. They all understand how everybody else works. And at the end of the project, we asked if we could improvise with our repertoire and our songs and music in general. And he was amazingly accommodating and allowed us to use all the things that he taught us in something that's going to be useful to us for the rest of our time here. Now I'm going to talk about what's going to happen next term, and I'm sure all of the MAs are really excited, but we've got an Acting Through Song project, 5 weeks of that next term. And that's with Kate Jarman, who's an acting tutor and a professional actor in the TV and musical theatre industry for the last 20 years. And she was also on my audition panel. And Charlie Inglis, who is a musical director, and he has extensive credits. You can look him up, they're amazing to see. He was also meant to be on the UK Hairspray tour, rubbish COVID. He has credits such as Cinderella, Guys and Dolls, Sweet Charity, and he also knows how to work with us because he worked with the last MAs on Spring Awakening last year, and also Sweeney Todd. In that term, we also get the chance to work with an external director who will come in, and most recently that's been Rupert Hans, who directed Evita in The Barbican. And then in the summer term, we get the chance to work with James Williams, who will be our director, and David Lam, who's a musical director, who is currently my repertoire coach, or has been for the last term. He has tons and tons of experience, including in the West End, where he's been the musical director for Avenue Q, Miss Saigon, and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And to show you kind of how close it is, last week I had my last Christmas session with him, and I worked on Here I Am from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, so I'm genuinely working on a piece of material that has been directed by him. I don't really know how much better it gets than that. And he even said to me, oh, I think this is in a different key. Let me just look at my own score book when I get home. And so I was like, okay, no problem. But yeah, it's so close to the people who really know what they're doing and have honed their craft. So the best answer to that question is yes, we're always going to be working with professionals who know that little bit of the industry, and not only do they know their bit, they talk to everyone else you work with, so you're always going to get a cohesive education and you're not going to be battered from lots of different angles with tons of different ideas that don't match up. And Chris touched upon that. All of our voice stuff goes into our singing stuff and it all starts to click into place, which is amazing. And also, COVID permitting, we're going to be having masterclasses next term. They usually with casting directors and agents, and also relatively various artists. And you might be aware that we had Lin-Manuel Miranda and Luke Evans in last year's cohort. So we're hella jealous of that, and we can't wait. But yeah, you work with the best people. They treat you like human beings. There's no make and break attitude. It's all about you and your personal journey. And we can't even complain 1 inch about the people that we get to work with. It's a pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Dominique. That's really helpful. I mean, it's difficult because obviously these MAs have not been through the BA, because whoever of you arrive in the first cohort of the BA will be experiencing that for the first time. But our links with the industry are really important to us. Having been a professional performer myself and lots of experience in the West End, UK touring, international, studio work, concerts. When we started the MA course, I brought in a lot of people who I knew from the top of the industry. So I was regularly working with casting directors and musical directors. And so you use that network for the benefit, and actually it's easier to do it on the benefit of course, rather than on your own success. So yes, so we have a very strong link with the industry. And the agents and casting directors do come down to the college, because of course we're only 2 hours away from London. When they come down to see the shows, our production values are very high, because we are really working in collaboration with our in-house stage management and theatre design departments, as well as all the musicians. So everything is a very high standard. Our production meetings are phenomenal. There's so many people in the room with, the place is bristling, brimming with creativity. So we attract quite a lot of interested industry people. We had to do, I know Dominique has just touched upon COVID. You might be interested to think about how we dealt with COVID. Is one of you talking about that specifically, Olivia or Gareth? No, I'll just touch on it. Shall I touch on it, Rhian? So
yes,
we're
please,
very, I'm very proud that this term, my glass is a bit wonky, I'm sorry. I'm very proud that this term we were able to maintain our face-to-face teaching, with the exception of 1 week. Obviously COVID and people having to isolate permitting. I'm not looking at anybody in particular here, Gareth or Chris. And it's obviously we have had some disruption, as has every single institution and company in the country and every school. But we've maintained our face-to-face teaching. We made a very strong case to our to the senior management and indeed the university that there are some things that you need to learn in musical theatre that you simply can't learn online. You have to have that practical experience, and it's very important to be able to do that. So we have been able to do a concert. We did a concert in our 400-seater concert hall last week with an invited audience of 47 staff, and with a lot of COVID protocols. And we hope to be able to have a streamed link to that soon. And planning ahead for next year, we've got a variety of strategies. We have plan A's, plan B's and plan C's, depending on what the COVID situation is. But most importantly is that the students will get that practical experience. It's not just about getting the qualification, because the training is all about immersing yourself in that practical professional training. I'm going to hand over to either Olivia or Gareth now. I don't know who's next, Rhian.
Gareth, do you want to go next? Gareth's
Yeah.
going to talk to us about productions and showcases.
apologies. I have to use a different mic, so I'm trying to go off my phone because my laptop's about 400 years old. So sorry. So yeah, I'm going to cover production and showcases, which we do throughout the year. I imagine it might be slightly different for you, but I don't know whether Viv could talk about that in more detail. But I'll say what we do, and I'm sure it'll be something similar. So the first term is sort of a very technical term in terms of everything we learn, and that sort of comes all together in our sort of first public performance in the Christmas term, which is our Christmas cabaret, or what's usually called our Christmas on Broadway. And it's basically a chance for us to showcase all the skills that we've learned over the term. It's a non-assessed module, so there's no pressure there. It's just literally a chance to get up and have a bit of fun and just enjoy every part of Christmas and the festive season. And usually there is a big band, this big swing band behind us, or a symphony orchestra. All the music's usually arranged by people in-house, and we get directors in and everything. It's usually one of the biggest affairs that goes on in the college calendar, and it is incredible. I've watched it for the past 3 years, and it's incredible. I mean, this year it was slightly more intimate, but it actually went down a treat. Everyone loved it, and that is like our first sort of thing, just to round off our first term here. That moves into the second term, sort of into our first public performance after acting through song, where we have sort of an external director come in that was mentioned by Dominique. And again, it's a chance to basically have our first performance, which this year, as far as I'm aware, I think is also being filmed. I think that was something that was mentioned. So that's our spring term. Throughout the year, as Chris mentioned, we are fully from day one working towards our showcase. And in the summer term, we have a showcase which takes place in-house in Royal Welsh in Cardiff, and we have one that happens in London as well in a West End theatre. And that's a chance for us to showcase ourselves through monologues and song to casting directors, agents, people who basically, you know, want a chance to take a look at us. We're quite good as well because our showcases happen quite early, along with some of the other colleges. So we always get a really good turnout with those, and they're always really usually very, very good. They're always very good, always directed very well. After the showcase, we have our big musical in the summer, which is our final sort of performance, which again, we don't know yet. And as Dominique mentioned, we have external directors come in. As Viv mentioned, we have the whole college is usually on site. So we have costume design, theatre design, stage management, tech, everything. It's we get involved with a lot of the people on the music side of the course. You know, we usually have a pit band, an orchestra, things like that. A couple of years ago for Hunchback, they pulled in a lot of the music students to be in like the choir for Hunchback, which was incredible. So there's a lot of cross collaborations with everything, and yeah, that's usually what happens sort of throughout the year. Again, it might be slightly different for you, but yeah, it's incredible. So yeah, that's sort of that's sort of the basic production showcases. Oh, sorry, one more. Throughout the year as well, we usually do foyer performances as well. So in the main Royal Welsh foyer, people are invited and come along, or you know, you can turn up, and it's like an extension of our BAP classes. So it gives us a chance to try out new rep and just sing to a wider audience in preparation for showcase, see what works, see what doesn't work, and just again have a bit of fun. So yeah, that's sort of our productions and showcases throughout the year.
Thanks, Gareth. And so for the BA, I saw, just to expand on what I've said, what Gareth has said, and also what I've said in the chat, we will be doing in the third year 2 performances. So working backwards from the end of the year, our main house performance, which will be a big show with the orchestra and the costume design and all those departments that we spoke about. We're actually going to hold that earlier in the year to allow the industry to grab you as early as, you know, it's quite good for agents like to get people early. So we'll hold that earlier in the year than the current end of year show. And there will be a studio musical as well, so it'll be slightly smaller scale, and that just gives us a different performance context. So there's a good reason for doing it in a different context. And our indeed agent and industry showcase, which happens in Cardiff, 2 performances in Cardiff, pack it all up in a van, take it to London, and give the agents a really good time. The advantage of having a smaller cohort, I'm sure the question about numbers is going to come up. We'll have quite a small cohort, and the advantage of that is really brought to bear when we do our agent and industry showcase, because natural maths will explain that you have more stage time if there are fewer of you in that hour-long showcase. So it really is an opportunity to work on your individuality and to be able to share that with the industry. One thing, unfortunately, that this cohort haven't been able to experience are our regular cabarets in the foyer. We have a very beautiful foyer. There's about 50 foot of glass, floor to ceiling. It was so beautiful, people have their weddings there on the weekends when we were allowed. And we, you know, with the grand piano, and in this foyer, which has the acoustics of a cathedral, we do regular twice termly cabarets. Some of you may even have attended those. And we just invite the public to come in, have a drink from the bar, sit and just enjoy. And it's an opportunity for the cohort to plan, programme, and really take responsibility in putting on that cabaret, choose their own repertoire, rehearse independently with the pianist. So as many opportunities to expose you to audiences as possible in a variety of contexts. So hopefully that qualifies all the stuff that Gareth said. But I love the enthusiasm for Christmas on Broadway, Gareth. But I have to say, you did a very good job last week. So this must mean it's over to the lovely, last but not least, Olivia. I'm handing over to you, Olivia.
Hi, thank you. Hi guys, I'm Olivia. I'm going to talk to you about living in Cardiff and the accommodation just really quickly. So Cardiff is a very friendly and safe city, and it does genuinely feel it. We all love it. One of the great things about Cardiff is the theatre. So, I mean, we have a few. So we've got the New Theatre, and we have the Sherman Theatre, which we actually get to do a show in, as I think was mentioned previously. And we also have the Wales Millennium Centre, and that is the big one that is situated in Cardiff Bay, which is the most beautiful, serene location, and it gets all the big tours, which will hopefully resume after spring, and we'll get to go and see. But it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. So we're really, really lucky to have that. Cardiff is lively. It's always busy in town centre, obviously not at COVID times. There's parks where we go running sometimes, and it's just a really nice space. It's lovely. Lots of places to eat and drink, so the social is great when you have the time for it, of course. So the accommodation is great. We love it. We love it so much. All of us live here. Actually, Gareth is moving in after Christmas. He loves it that much. So yes, it's wonderful. It's comfortable. It's spacious, and the bedrooms are actually 40% bigger than your average UK dorm room, which is great. You get a ensuite in every single bedroom. You get a small double bed, which is great. You have a TV, large fridge and freezer, which is very important. There's enough space for everyone. And yeah, it's great. The living area is lovely. Wi-Fi and bills are included, which is helpful. And I will say, choosing to live here saved a lot of stress. As someone who's had a house contract before, it was just easy to go straight into accommodation here. And it was an easy process with really helpful staff members. The accommodation is a 12-minute walk from college, which is handy. And then it's a further 5 minutes into Cardiff Central from the college. So it's all very, very close together. What else? You can choose who you live with in terms of, you can write names if there's anyone that you would like to live with. And also you can choose if you want to live with your course mates or whether you want to mix it up and live with other people in Royal Welsh. At the moment, because of COVID, we were bubbled together. So we have 2 musical theatre flats here at Severn Point, which is obviously lovely, and lots of singing. It's wonderful. Yeah, but it's great for socialising, helpful staff. It was easy, easy move in. It's usually a 43-week contract, so that takes you up to the end of term. And you are guaranteed a place if you apply by the deadline. But it's great. We love living here. Me and Chris are still here now. We go home very soon. But yeah, it's great. Highly recommend. So.
Thanks, Liv. That's great. My screen just flashed, so I hope I'm still there for everybody.
Yes, still with us, Liv.
I'm answering as much as I can in the chat. Would you like me to answer things verbally, Rhian, or what would you like to do?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could cover the audition process that we've got for entry in 2021. So if you are thinking of entering in 2022, come back to us a bit closer to this time. This is specifically for people looking to apply for this September. And then once you've done that bit, we'll move on to some of the pre-submitted questions. So those have been sent in with the booking forms.
Brilliant. I can't type as fast as I'd like to, folks. So yeah, we will try and get to all of your questions. So the audition process this year will be via submitted recording audition for the first round. We don't yet know if we're going to be able to have people in the building for second round. I'd very much like it if we could, because it certainly makes a difference to feel the vibe of the building and to see how people interact with each other in the building. You can certainly feel, I don't know about you, but I certainly get a vibe of a place. So if you have visited the building, or if you have an opportunity to visit the building, please do. But obviously we'll confirm that later on, and if you get a second round audition, whether or not we'd be able to see you in person. My vote is I hope so. However, we will ask you to submit for first round one song and one speech and a short dance piece with a roll down. So I'll take the song first. It can be anything from the musical theatre repertoire. You don't have to choose from a prescribed list of songs. We don't have a list of songs that we don't want to hear either. The reason that I leave it open is because I think your choice of material reveals something about you, and it's interesting to see what people connect with, and then we can have a conversation with you about that, why you chose it and what is it that you like. I mean, anything from musical theatre repertoire, because it reveals something about you, and I like to know what makes people tick. And because we are going to have a small cohort, and because I really do feel that we try and concentrate on the individual, that's very important. So if everybody's singing from the same 20 songs, you know, by the time you've seen 200, 300 auditions, you'll have heard the same songs over, you know, quite a lot. So we leave it up to you. It has to be from musical theatre. With the speech, it can be a classical or contemporary speech. In second round, we would ask for a classical and a contemporary. So what's a classical speech? That's Shakespeare, but it doesn't have to be. It could be Christopher Marlowe, but it can be Shakespeare. People worry about doing overdone pieces, but with classical pieces, they aren't writing any more classical pieces. So obviously we do hear a lot of Juliets and Phoebes and Benedicts and Hamlets. So don't worry too much about that, especially with the classical. It doesn't matter whether you do Shakespeare or contemporary. We just want to hear you speak, whether you can communicate, whether you can let us know what's going on for that character, let us into the predicament, whether you understand what's going on, whether you're connected, and whether you can share that with us in any way. The dance audition, which I know a lot of people get nervous at, I would get nervous at it, but it can be anything. It can be you in your bedroom, in your garage, in your bathroom, in the garden, in a multi-story car park. Music that you like. It can be a ballet piece. If you're a ballet dancer, please do. If you can tap, then please do. If you can do ballet, tap and jazz and contemporary and acro, then do something that incorporates all of that if you wish. But all we really want to see is that you want to move and that your body has a relationship with music, and then you can connect physically with music, and that you're coordinated. Which brings, so it can be Beyonce or it can be the ballet from Carousel. It's just an indication. And then the spinal roll down, which our beautiful Dominique demonstrates very beautifully on our website, which I hope you've all looked at, just to see, that was specifically asked by one of our dance teachers. She said she can tell a lot from that. So we just want to see if you can drop from the head and just drop down to the floor and then roll gently back up. Do you need dance experience to get on the course? Not necessarily. It may help, but because we are going to be a 3-year program, there's a lot more we can do in 3 years. So don't worry too much if you haven't had a lot of dance experience. Please audition anyway. If it's something that you enjoy, get some music that you enjoy, get a friend to help you, try and get something together. It doesn't have to be perfect. Please don't let that put you off. Remember, we're after individuals. So that'll be the first round audition. Second round audition will be 2 songs, which should be contrasting in style, in vocal style. So what that really means is something that's written before probably 1960, and then something that's a bit more contemporary. So you can bring me all your Dear Evan Hansons and bring it on at that point. But I'd also like a little bit of perhaps Rodgers and Hammerstein or Linner and Lowe, just to see that you can sustain the line. Again, don't worry too much about that. It's still a person talking about how they feel. Just want to see how you sit in that repertoire. Some people are better at other things than others. Musical theatre is the holy grail. Musical theatre is the integration of all of those things within a single performer. We know that some people are going to be stronger in some areas than others. Submit something. It would be upsetting if you did 2 songs from contemporary musicals, because I won't be able to understand where you sit across the repertoire. So please do that, and hopefully we'll be able to get you in for a movement call where we would give you a quick workshop and then teach you a routine. And again, you don't have to be the best dancer in the room. It can help, but it doesn't always. So that's our audition process. And again, as Rhian says, if you're auditioning, thinking of auditioning for 2022, things may have altered slightly by then in terms of the audition requirements. Please don't feel you need to use props. If you want to use a piece of paper or something, if you singing something where you're reading a letter, please do, but you don't need an ironing board or a telephone or anything large like that. If you feel comfortable sitting on a chair, then you're welcome to sit on a chair. We just want to see you talking to us. Don't feel you need to use an accent other than your own. If you are competent in an accent, then you are welcome to show it. But if you are not, please don't feel you have to try in an area in which you're not yet comfortable. When you are filming yourself, it's fine to film it on your phone. Don't invest in expensive mics, cameras, light rings. I know you've all got light rings by now anyway, but don't feel you have to, as long as you are lit, you have a relatively plain background, probably plainer than this. There's a bit too much interest here. I've got these curtains here, I've got a plant, there's a lot to look at. Doesn't need to be very busy in the background. It doesn't matter if it is, but it doesn't need to be. Take your phone off selfie mode, so we see you as we see you, rather than the reflected version. That would be really helpful. So while you're filming yourself, you shouldn't be able to see yourself as if you were taking a selfie. Do you know what I mean? So be brave and just give us the real you. And that'll take away some of the self-consciousness, so you don't have that sort of CCTV going on all the time. I think that's about it for the audition, Rhian.
Yes, thanks, Viv. We do have a couple of more questions in the chat box. We will come back to you next week with your audition questions. We'll just progress through the rest of the questions that have come in, Viv.
Okay.
Can you talk about the split in the course, the split between acting, dancing and singing? How are they weighted in the course?
Yeah, now this is a really difficult one to answer, and I promise I'm not trying to be evasive at all, but it is difficult to quantify how many, because you're necessarily going to get fewer singing hours than you are dance hours, because, an hour's individual singing possibly counts for more than an hour's group dancing. So it's very difficult to quantify. So the average isn't exactly split. It's not a third of the hours, because then that would necessarily mean that you weren't getting as much dance as you needed. You'll be dancing every day. There is individual and group singing every week. And when I say singing, that is both technique and repertoire. And that's really important. The only time you don't get individual singing is in the first term. And that's because we're going to see you in a group, and so that you feel comfortable and you don't start getting competitive and start showing people what you can do. So we're just going to keep it on the down low for the first term and get everybody in the group. So in the first term, and then in the second term of the first year, we'll start going into individual teaching. It's really important to do individual teaching because everybody has a unique voice. What Gareth needs is very different from what Chris needs. What Liv needs is very different from what Dom needs. It is absolutely unique to everybody, and your repertoire is going to eventually come from you, because we're working with smaller groups. I'm not going to work with a group and the repertoire, the songs we're singing today is this. I'm not interested in running a cookie cutter course. It's really about drawing out the individuality of people who will, you know, be interesting people who will enter and help to shape the future of the professional industry. What's the next one, Ray?
Next one, I've got quite a few questions about how dance focused the class and the courses, and do people need to have previous dance training, and so what level? So if you could just touch on what we're looking for at audition, the level of ability that they need in dance.
You don't have to have danced before. You don't have to have danced before. If you have danced before, that's fine. You don't have to have danced before, and that's sort of one of the provocations for running a 3-year course, in that we will have enough time to make a dancer. It's harder to do that in a 1-year program, we have found. So as long as you can move, you're relatively musical, coordinated, and you can get up if you fall over, that's a really, really good start. And leave the rest up to us, because it might be that your skill sets are weighted in a certain way, and we might want you anyway if you're not the best dancer in the world, because we know that there's enough potential there to be able to work on it. And that goes across all of the disciplines. I mean, if you can't sing, you know, if you can't hold a tune in a bucket, then that might be a little bit more difficult. But, you know, we want to see potential and appetite and a willingness to grow and change in all of those areas. So don't worry too much if you haven't had a whole ton of dance experience. We will be able to work with that.
Great, thank you, Viv. Then can you discuss a little bit about what our graduates have gone on to do, their graduate successes?
Yeah, so over the last 10 years, we've had graduates who've gone on to do a whole variety of things. We've had people in plays, TV, and musical theatre. Musical theatre includes Les Miserables, Phantom of the Opera, and that's both the West End productions and the UK tours and the international Far East tour. We've got a graduate at the moment, so Les Miserables is doing this concert version, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about. So we've got a graduate in that at the moment. He's probably one of the only people working in musical theatre at the moment. Phantom of the Opera, Blood Brothers, The Commitments, Dreamboats and Petticoats, Warhorse, Hairspray. So big productions, gone into big productions, but also gone and done television jobs here and there, and gone into plays. So there's a real variety of stuff. Some people have gone on to cruise work, and I think it's really time to stop the snobbishness about cruise work, because it's a really good place to learn your craft. Cruise work is the only place really that's now working in repertory, so you have a huge amount of material to learn in a very short amount of time. You have to be extraordinarily skilled to survive there. There's a big variety of work, large and small scale.
Great, thank you, Viv. I'll just very quickly, I'm very conscious of the time, just cover funding. If you are a Welsh student, English student, Scottish student or Northern Ireland student, you can apply to your student loan company, and you can apply for a student loan to cover your tuition fees. Currently for UK students, tuition fees are £9,000, and for international students they are a bit more than that. More information on our website. You can also apply to your local student loan company for loan to cover maintenance, so to help you pay towards your rent and some food bills. We do offer scholarships and bursaries, and we'll let you know if you're successful at those once we've offered you a place on the course. Viv, do you want to talk a little bit about student services and the pastoral care that we offer? There is also Brian's video on the Open Day page that does go into it with a little bit more detail.
Yeah, please do go on the Open Day page and see Brian's video. He talks a lot about the student support. I'm really proud that we have quite a lot of student support available at the college. There is a free counselling service available to all students and staff indeed, and we have disability and sort of dyslexia and dyspraxia sort of mentoring and support available in the college. We are very aware of the conversations that are surrounding mental health and well-being. all over the place, but especially in the performing arts. I think gone are the days when you just had to leave it out of the door and suffer in silence. We know it's a difficult thing to do. We know that the world is a scary place, that we know that people, you know, go up and down from time to time, and it's really important that we have procedures in place so we can support you in order that you can continue your training. So it's not something that we penalise. We would give you time off for those counselling sessions. It's entirely confidential. So if a current student chooses to tell me they're having counselling, then fine. Otherwise, I wouldn't necessarily need to know. I never know what the content of those are, again, unless the student chooses to tell me. So yes, we know that that's a really huge area. The college has worked really hard in terms of safe spaces and inclusivity. We never train through humiliation. I'd like to think that the whole college is a really constructive, positive, and you know, supportive place to be, and that your vulnerabilities indeed are the things that make you human, which make you empathetic, which in turn make you a better performer, actually, if you're in tune with how you feel. And that's why a lot of performers do feel very vulnerable, because they feel things very acutely. So we are set up to help you. I hope I'm approachable. Those of you who have approached me, I hope I'm approachable, and we operate an open door policy, and my mantra tends to be, please email me if there is anything, and I will always try and find time to talk to any student who needs it, or indeed refer them to the student support services, or on to whatever support they need at any given time.
Thank you, Viv. Sort of our last theme of questions is what makes RWCMD different?
One of the things that makes RWCMD different is just the vibe and the people. We are friendly. Cardiff is a nice place to live. It is cosmopolitan, but it's you know, it's safe and it's small, and it's comparatively cheaper to live in. But in terms of the programme on the BA, there's going to be, and this goes some way to answering Beth's question, there's going to be a new module in the BA called Creative Process, where we're going to be working directly with writers, composers and production companies, and sort of examining the purpose of musical theatre now. Why are we making it? Who are our audiences? And I think that's really interesting, especially now that we're doing everything under the umbrella of COVID, and the industry might indeed look quite different when we come out the other end in 3 or 4 years' time. So working directly with creative practitioners while they are making new work, and we are making that new work with them, hopefully will mean that at the end of the programme, when you do enter the industry, however it looks, you will have a really good lateral set of skills for a variety of professional contexts. So we will be doing things on film, we will be doing things that are online, just because it's good to practice that stuff. And so we're ready for whatever the industry wants us to do. So it's very different in that way. It's different in terms of student numbers, and it's different in terms of, I hope, the very nurturing environment, which can be a little bit different from some traditional musical theatre training. We are definitely not, and I think somebody else said that, a break you down and build you up. Nobody can learn properly if they feel judged. So that's my starting point. Would any of you guys like to add to that, Dom, Olivia and Chris? You don't have to agree with me.
Yeah, I can add if you like. Yeah, for me, when I auditioned, it was the vibe. It was I was just like, this is it. This is if I get in here, this is where I want to go. And I have to say, I think like the vibe of the staff that teach you here, it's very much of like, you're kind of like professionals working together. You don't always feel like a student, and it's okay to be wrong. When you do get something wrong, or you don't do something quite right, they're like, okay, let's try it this way, rather than, no, that was wrong. And yeah, there's no real snobbery there. And I find it as well, if you're sitting in the union and the teachers around, they will come and chat to you. Jamie will come and have a cup of tea with you, like, and sit with you, which I haven't experienced before. So that, I think for me, that's what makes it different. There's a real vibe between the students and the teachers. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. I'm glad you've had that experience. I think that's really important. That's the way that we learn. We're all learning from each other. I learn from the students. There are contemporary musicals there's stuff that's being written now that people will know about next term that I haven't heard about yet. So it's really important that I don't have a need to feel superior. We're all trying to achieve the same thing, so we're working very much together, and that goes to the course content as well. We have really regular meetings with our students. We have 2 student reps, 2 of them are here today, who sort of monitor how sort of take the temperature of the cohort and then feed it back to a group, and we try to respond to that as well. Does being physically flexible matter is just one I've seen here. If you are able-bodied, then yes. If you have a disability, it doesn't matter. We have people who have disabilities. In fact, I've already seen some audition videos from people with who live with disability, and that's absolutely fine. I think it's important to remember that the last Tony Leading Lady Award winner was Ali Stroker, who was a wheelchair user, who I saw in Oklahoma on Broadway, and I think that's a very important area for us to be looking at. Our dance teachers are really experienced and will work with you as an individual to your needs. So don't worry about that. If you are flexible, then yes. If there's a physical reason, medical reason why you're not, then we will work to you. So that's no problem. Rachel Greenhouse, does it matter if we choreograph a dance or a set when we've learnt? Whatever you would like, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I can see Caitlin Jackson. Is that 2 extra songs or 1 extra song? For the second round, you can sing the same song as you sang for first round with 1 additional one. That's absolutely fine. If you'd like to bring 2 new ones, fine. Just bring your 3rd one. If we're doing live auditions, bring your 3rd one in your folder just in case I would like to hear it again. Oh, you've answered the thing about dance. Is it 2 brand new songs and monologues and the same? So it's the same answer. So you can bring 2 new ones. You can bring the same one that you brought to the first round if you like. I don't mind. How many people do you take on the course? I've answered that already, Meg, so that's 16. How do I choose those people? Via the audition process, and we will be doing that via a panel, so it's not just me being autocratically the decider of everything. So it will be a combination of, so that they'll be looked at by, somebody will be assessing the dance, somebody will be assessing the acting, somebody will be assessing the singing, and between us we fight it out, really. So really we're looking at it, and also it's not just to do with skills, and that's the reason we don't score people, because it's to do with how you come across. You know, we want to work with people that want to work with us, but also that we want to work with, and that we think other people will want to work with. And by other people, we mean the industry. So, you know, the other actors and the directors will want to work with. So people who are willing to work, people who are trainable, I said it before, people who can get up if they fall down, who are willing to admit their vulnerability, who are generous to their peers. And so those are, you know, those kind of things, hopefully we'll be able to tease out when we get to chat to you. Funding for international students, specifically for Malaysians. Pateri, we don't have anything specifically for Malaysians. We do have some scholarships available, but like Rian said, we would be able to tell you what those were specifically, because they get confirmed quite late on in the year, because the funding bodies, they review their fundings every year. But there is funding available for international students as well as UK students, and we would be able to tell you what's available following acceptance of your place, your offered place. What else? Opportunities for Welsh speaking students. Croeso, helaffion, dysgu Gymraeg, the blant yn mynd i'r ysgol Gymraeg. But I will speak in English now. The opportunities for Welsh speaking students, you are able to sing Welsh repertoire if you want. We would, in the showcase, of course, showcase your Welsh speaking ability. There's a whole wealth of work in the Welsh language available, and we have good relationships with the agents here in Cardiff and elsewhere who can get you that work. So in your showcase, if you're a Welsh speaker, you'll be able to do a speech and a song in Welsh. We've had quite a few Welsh speakers on the course before now. We've got quite a few now, haven't we? Is it Aled and Tian? But Olivia isn't a Welsh speaker, but she did sing a song in Welsh. She sang Tua Bethlehem Dref, yr wythnos diwethaf yn y cyngerdd. So yes, we are very aware of our Welsh speaking students. That's very important. We are making work in Wales for Welsh people, but also internationally as well. Somebody starting work, what percentage of the course is theory? There is a small percentage of theory. So there's not a lot of written work. There is some written work, but where that is in the course, it's only so it contextualizes your practical work so that we can understand that you know what you're learning. So you don't just get, and the MA students who think there isn't any written work yet will have a surprise coming to them next term very shortly, because it's really important that we know that you know how to articulate your learning and what you understand about your craft and the industry. So there's also theory, musical theory, which Chris spoke about earlier on. How many applicants you get per year? Don't know yet. It's going to be a brand new course. We did do, well, Rian did some initial market analysis and thought we might see between 300 and 400. And the last time I checked, we were close to 200 applications. So I don't know what the latest figures are there. So that's quite encouraging. Thanks to all of you who've applied. Thanks, folks. As a mature student, hello, Gareth, I recognise you from somewhere. I'm sure we'll work that out as at some point. You're considering applying for both BA and MA. Is it beneficial to apply for one or pursue both? I think he's able to apply for BA and MA. Is that right, Rian?
He is able to apply for, I've already answered this one
directly
with Gareth, so please don't worry. Okay, it is possible to apply for both courses. You don't need to submit 2 separate applications on the UCAS application form, but you must email admissions to tell us that you want to be considered for both, and you must meet the deadlines for the BA.
Thank you, Lou. Beth has asked again, what was that module called again? It's called Creative Process. And so we're doing Creative Process, which turns into new writing in the 2nd year. So last year's MA lot, when everything had to close down for COVID, we brought in production companies. They worked with about 20 composers and writers. So we started that quite early on. So yeah, we've got lots of those links. And I think that's really important. You know, some people go into the Actor Muso. We don't have a defined Actor Muso pathway at the moment, but it's creating the space for that. So when we find people who have other skills, we can bring those into that project. So I can see that's you. Thank you so much for coming, everybody.